because we were talking, we kind of touched on the Heretics point. But my ugly point is, sure, we talk about the top 4 teams and how they're all really close, but nobody's afraid of TH or GX, right? Going into these playoffs, right? I think nobody's afraid of. Maybe they should be afraid of GX. You know, maybe GX are like not you know. Are not our team that are spiking at the right time, and you know they're a team that shouldn't be underestimated. Yeah. But yeah, we talked a lot about TH before. But let's be clear, like the top 4 teams, just from speaking to people I know around those teams, they don't think that they don't think that it's possible to lose the best of 5 series against either of these teams. And like that's good. That maybe that's good storytelling, but also it's a result of you know, people have this perception that TH, because of how they play, and GX because of the mentality around, like the reputation that their players have. Like the reputation that GX players have is that they are mentally fragile, and the reputation that TH has from the people that I've spoken to is that they are one-dimensional and have literally the only way that they can win is if you beat yourself, because they're never beating you in 15 minutes. So like you have to lose from an advantage in the mid game, which I think is a skill. I think it's a skill to be able to play from behind, but nobody respects that, right? Like nobody respects that playing from behind in the mid game. So yeah, so my ugly point is, you know, nobody respects these teams, and maybe they should. But it will be very, very funny if any of the top 4 teams, after everything their fan base thinks and everything that they that the players that I know think, if they lose to one of these teams, it will be so funny. But yeah, I don't think they have a chance to. Either team has a chance to. Any of those teams have a chance to lose them either. But it would be very, very funny if it did. That's all it was.
Also, tying into the last point, it would definitely open up my boy Giotto to fucking get on the mic again, wouldn't it? Like, think about it. Like, so logically, he might have to play MCoy. Like, you guys won't know this if you only follow LEC. He used to be in Heretics. That would be an enormous fucking rivalry right there to beat Movistar Koi. And then obviously, if he ever gets to play like a G2, it bombs away if he ever wins games in those series. Like, that's when he'll actually remember who the guy was in Winter who was fucking pressing send tweet. Now you've all scared him away, you fucking idiots. Now we have to coax him out of his nest again. It's okay to come out, Giotto. It's all right now, mate. It's all right. Jackies can win games now. Yeah.
Holy moly, GX versus G2 if GX win. Oh.
Imagine how glorious that would be.
How would that happen, though?
Well, they'd probably have to play in like the next round of the lower bracket, wouldn't they? Like if they won the first match, they could. If Fnatic beats G2, they'd have to beat like probably MCoy. But if you beat MCoy, maybe you play in the next round of the lower bracket. By the way, that would mean you could eliminate G2 from playoffs, though. That would that would be spicy as fuck. Imagine that. Remember the guy? They're not going to Worlds. I eliminate you, so you don't even go to MSI. That would be pretty spicy. Not bad.
Sure. I mean,
by the way, should people be scared of GX back? Should they be scared of them?
I think in best of 5s, it's hard to make the argument that you should be. I think that the type of stuff that this team will do in best of 1s, like, is scary. Right. Like, I think prepping a tiebreaker versus this team in a best of 1 would have been a nightmare, you know? And I think that what they did to, like, that I mentioned, like, fucking first pick Sion and flex it mid, like, they'll do some random shit, you know? And I think there's for sure a world, you know? But again, like, I think similar with Heretics, like, I think they are more adaptable than Heretics, though. I think, like, you've got to give them credit there, that, like, as the champion pool gets thinned down, like, these guys will still have champs. At the end of the day, it still comes down to fundamentals, right? I think Heretics literally doesn't have the champs or necessarily the fundamentals or the firepower, or however you want to phrase it, to like go the distance in a best of 5 series. I think GX has the champ pool. Like, I think they actually have the champ pool pretty much across the board. Maybe top jungle a little bit weaker, but for sure mid and bot lane, I think they have like really deep champion pools. So I think they can like go the distance, you know? So what would it kind of look like for a team to be afraid of GX? I mean, like you said, they're like mentally fragile, right? I mean, I think Koi has also been really mentally fragile, right? Like, I think they're really, really up and down. And I think like that was the case last year, and I don't think that Jojo coming should actually be a big change to that, even if he's like a big voice, and I think he's quite a positive character. But I still think that he has high highs and low lows, right? So like, there's a world where Mad Lions, Koi, I mean, whatever, Movistar Koi comes in and has like a horrendous day and gets like completely fucking triggered because they lose game 1 in a really stupid fashion and it snowballs out of control, and like GX has like one banger cheese that they have prepped for like game 3 or something like this, you know? Like, I think it can always happen, and I think one of Gilotto's like big strengths in the past has been like doing some of these creative drafts and having some of these like cheeses planned and like having really specific counter picks planned for like opponents' best champions, you know? And like, I think that's often a trap that people can fall into. Like you go into playoffs and you're like, bro, I don't know, you're G2 and you're like, every time someone gives us Warwick, we win. We just pick fucking Warwick every time we get it and we're going to win the game, you know? And if someone has a great counter pick prepared to Warwick that you've never seen before, like that can be a big trap. At the same time, like, do I think it's realistic? I mean, I think it's similar to like the scenario for them to beat like a G2 would only happen a lot of the time if they're like literally knocking them out, you know? And the way that people play in these series is just different. The same as why, like,
right.
I think Fnatic,
so maybe
one of the
if
reasons
G2 felt
why
the pressure, you mean?
Yeah, exactly,
right.
exactly. Like
right.
I think one of the reasons why Fnatic has a decent chance of beating G2 is because it's spring and it's not an elimination match, right? But if you play against G2 in an elimination best of 5, like it's just different. Like the pressure is different, and like the most storied players and the most successful players step up under pressure, and they are like that for a reason, right? Like that's part of how you get to being this good of a player. Like how many game 5s has G2 won versus Fnatic in the last 5 years? Like holy fuck, it's
everyone seemingly, right? Except one, I think they lost one.
Basically. So I think like when you look at that and when you look at the players you have on GX, it's difficult. Respect to their bot lane and respect to Jackies though. I think those guys are solid as fuck.
Yeah.
Right, here's the problem I have. I think you actually also nailed it by mentioning the format. Bro, if this was BO3s, tell you what, all you need is like one great Jackie carry performance, one game where the jungle does what, you know what, you could see a world where you can get it. BO5's really hard though, especially because, by the way, it's also fearless, so we can't do that thing where it's like, right, put Jackie's back on that champ. No, now we have to get him on now we have to find 3 out of 5 champs that you can have a crazy pop-off against potentially like a G2 or something like that. That seems too implausible. Also, as well as like the fact that it's going to be hard for the superstar to go off, here's the other problem you have. I actually, when I look at this bracket, I don't think there's any way you can play a bot lane where your bot lane's better. Like, you can either play MCoys or you're probably going to play G2s. Like, or Fnatics, like, good luck. Like, just good luck to those boys. Like, the difference is you could do work against some of the other squads. I don't know that you can win a BO5 from there, though. So, no, I'm with you. I actually think that's a good one. Right, by the way, go on, Peter.
This is the disadvantage of Fearless. It makes so Fearless has big pluses, like for champion pool, but one of the things you could do if you were the underdog is come prepared with 1 or 2 really big cheese strategies. And I will say that, you know, one of the reasons why I think LPL and LCK are so in favor of Fearless is because it stops.
Makes it less like the Western upset happens, right?
Yeah. I mean, like, you think about G2.
Yeah.
The famous G2 wins, like against T1, they had Pike, right? They could flex Pike in multiple games, multiple ways. You know, they had all of these other kind of weird cheeses that T1 had to ban out, but now they don't, like, it won't be T1, but,
Vigar. These are like classic how to beat Asian team champions at international events, you know?
Yeah, now you need 5 of them, which is the disadvantage.
No, here's the irony is I think one of the reasons people wanted Fearless wasn't all that shit they said of like, I want to see top players prove that. No, it was the other way around. They hoped it would give you more really exciting upsets. It's going to be the opposite. It's actually way less likely when you get like Game 4 and Game 5 should almost have what we have in the UFC, where because most fights in the UFC are 3 rounds, when they have the title fight or the main event fight that has the extra 4th and 5th round, they call that the championship rounds, because a fighter that's only used to fighting 3 rounds, he's going to be out of his depth. You call that like the deep water. That's what it's going to be like in Fearless. Like once you get to Game 5 versus like a top team, where the fuck, your draft is just in Narnia at that point in time, mate. You're just hoping you can pull something together. So I agree, it's way less likely the underdog wins that actually, even though the fan might think it's going to make it more random. Maybe for BO1s and BO3s is good, but well, there's no BO1. It was always Fearless in BO1.
See more cool, funny, interesting clips based on topics from my content? Well, subscribe to this channel then, or, be a pleb and don't.